Welcome in, nerds, and thank you for being so patient with me. The last 2 weeks I had to take off because I just had a lot of stuff going on, and I wound up posting something on my Instagram saying that I'm really sorry that I missed the last couple weeks. A lot of stuff going on, this, that, and the other, and the outpouring of people that have reached out to me asking me if I'm okay, and it was really great, and I really do appreciate everybody that did reach out. It kind of works out perfect because in the sense I was also having a hard time trying to figure out what I wanted to talk about. Like I said in one of my previous videos, that I don't really do a whole lot of planning going into this. It's more of like, what am I talking about with people on a regular basis throughout the week? Not that I wasn't having conversations with people, I was, but nothing that I felt like really weighed heavy on me that I needed to turn into a video. Also, if you like this content and you don't always have the opportunity to be able to watch the video, there is also a podcast version that is up on Spotify and stuff, and you just look to Coping with Creativity with Ricky Bolafé, and you could be able to find that. With all the thank yous out of the way, the one thing that I did want to talk about today was my experience that I had and sort of the way that it affected me. So I'm not going to go into details about what show it was or who I was playing with, but I had a show out of town, and this was something that I was looking forward to. I was heavy prepping for this show, and it was at an awesome venue and everything like that. Not that I psyched myself out, but I was just really thinking about it a lot, and I was rehearsing on my own, and we were doing a combination of originals and covers. To be honest, some of them I'd never even heard before. I'm not trying to make an excuse. I'm just saying that this was my mindset during this situation. And we started off, and I just have one of these moments where I'm the drummer. I'm the one that's supposed to be counting off all the songs. Every single song that we have, we all start together. So it's up to me. It's my job to remember the tempos for everything. And for some reason, I just came up blank. I couldn't remember. And some of these songs I did actually know. And we had rehearsed. We had been rehearsing for the weeks before, and I was just blank after blank. The first couple songs, I sort of just winged it and got through it, but I still felt a little uncomfortable. And then I got to the point where I was just turning around to the singer and I was like, what's the tempo for this? What's the tempo for that? And in my mind, I'm like, this is the most unprofessional situation that I've ever put myself in. Like, this is what I was hired to do. This is why I'm a part of this, is to be able to keep time. I'm the drummer, for Christ's sake. I was beating myself up over that, and then we got to one of the latter songs of the set. I was just blanking left and right on what we were doing, and just had this incredible misstep timing-wise where I was just playing off. It's not that I didn't know the tempo, I was just off. And it happened twice in the same song. My mind, I'm thinking like, this is an opportunity not only for myself, this is an opportunity for the person I'm playing with. This is an opportunity for the other two people that were on the stage with me, and I'm the one that's screwing it up. Everybody else seemed to have their shit together, and I was the one that was screwing it up. And I'm the newbie on top of it. I'm sitting there thinking to myself while I'm playing, which is never a good idea. I'm thinking to myself that this is going bad. I'm making a fool out of myself. I'm embarrassing myself. I'm embarrassing my bandmates, and I'm embarrassing them in a situation that could be very beneficial for us in the future, or even myself in the future. And when I tell you that I was angry with myself, I cannot even begin to explain how horrible I felt. I can't even begin to explain how much of an asshole I felt like at that point in time. And I've had this experience happen to me. One time it happened in high school. I was playing a battle of the bands, rehearsed with this band. We go to play the show, and I just blank on everything. I just forget everything. Play a terrible show, can't remember the words, can't remember the chords. It was horrible. Everybody was staring at us like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? And I remember after the show, I literally unplugged my guitar, put my guitar on the ground, and ran to my car and just drove home. And that was the end of it. And then it was just a weird situation around all of my friends after that. And I remember that situation happening when this happening. And my first thought when the show was over was pack your shit, get in your car, and go home. And I tried my hardest. I stuck around for a little bit, and what I was doing, which I know wasn't the right choice, but in the moment I couldn't be able to help it. People were like, great job. And I'm like, yeah. And I should have been more receptive to people that were trying to give me praise, including the bandmates. And I even said to them, I said, do not congratulate me. Like, I was a fucking disaster out there. I did a extremely poor job. I let all of you down. And the only job I had to do was keep time. And that was the one thing I couldn't do. When your whole identity is music and you fuck that up, it makes things really difficult to be able to move on, because your entire persona is based around this ability that you have. And when you perform poorly at that ability, then you feel like you don't exist. You're not a real person anymore. And in that moment, I felt like an apparition. I was just kind of floating around, and I had existed prior to that set. And then once the set was over, I basically was a fucking ghost. I didn't exist to anybody. And I also felt like I shouldn't exist to anybody because that was an embarrassment. I sent a long text to everybody being like, I apologize. That was just the most embarrassing situation that I've been in a really long time, and I should be embarrassed, and you should be embarrassed of me, and all this stuff, and beating myself up over it. And of course, everybody was amazing. Everybody was like, listen, it's okay. You had a lot to deal with. It was a big feat. It happens, this, that, and the other. But myself, I wasn't having any of that shit. The next couple days were the worst couple days. All I could think about. I drove home 2 hours in silence, and I was texting my wife, and I'm like, I've ruined everything. I wanted to just drive directly off the road because that was the one thing. That's me. That's who I am. The music is who I am. The ability to be able to play is who I am. The ability, what people know of me. People know, oh yeah, he's a good drummer. He could be able to hang with anybody. And at that moment, I couldn't hang with myself. There was nothing. I just wanted to hang myself after that. And I went through this situation of like, maybe this is it. Maybe I've just gotten to the point where like, this isn't really what I want to be doing. Or I miss my time. I miss my I don't know. I missed it. And I thought about that so much. 2 hours drive home in silence. And all I could think about, getting a real job, becoming a real person. And for the next couple days after that, the same thing, I went on Indeed, started applying for jobs. I'm going to apply for some jobs. I'm going to get a real job. I'll do this on the side, just so I can keep my sanity. But, maybe it's time. I'm 36 years old. Maybe it's time to just fucking cash it in. I've done a lot. I toured, I made records, I recorded, I learned to record. I've had people come up to me and say that my music meant something to them. To me, that's everything. I was really having a hard time, and I was thinking about the future. I was thinking about getting a job. I was thinking about maybe we should move. It's like when I stopped drinking, I dropped all of my friends. I dropped all of my habits. I dropped all the places that I used to go to. And it was that change that got me to the person that I am today. It's because I was just having a conversation with somebody about this the other day. I had a poor relationship with alcohol. And I think what had just happened is I had gone into a situation where I was not focusing enough on the right things in my music, that I was creating a poor relationship with my music. And that was the culmination of it, where I felt like at that moment, my musical instinct broke up with me. But the week went on, and I had this massive amount of shows, 3-hour shows for the most part, and I could feel my voice was going. And then we got down to the last show. And the last show, Dominic Delaney and I did a Amtrak tour this past year, and we recorded a record because we wrote songs in every single city. And we were asked to come to a friend's house, Kenny, shout out Kenny, Kenny's Calendar. We were asked to come to a friend's house and perform this record in its totality and tell the stories of why we wrote the songs, how we wrote the songs, where we wrote the songs, everything like that. And this, to me, was the only show that mattered. Also, on top of this, I'm having this really hard time playing music, not really connecting. And then I'm broke on top of it because I've just had, the last 2 months have just been insane. And I'm out of the hole now, thank God. But I was broke. So I was given a bunch of gigs for this weekend, and there was no way I could turn them down. It was, if I turned them down, I wouldn't be able to pay my bills. So I had to just bootstrap and do these shows. I got down to the last show. We went to go do a little sound check, and I turned to Dom and I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. My voice is shot. Absolutely shot. I've got nothing. We set up, did the whole entire thing. They said it's ready, time to play. We start playing the songs. First song, second song, I'm like singing lower harmony. And then as we start to tell the stories and as we start to connect more with the people that we're telling the stories to, and they're laughing and they're crying and they're involved in what we're doing, all of a sudden it's like my voice just like woke up. The last half of the set, it was like I didn't just play 6 shows prior. After that, people came up to us and like, oh my God, that was the hardest I've laughed in a long time. The stories were amazing. And I never give myself any credit when it comes to this kind of stuff. But I've said to Dominic many times, this record means so much to me. It is probably the most connected I've been to music that I've written in a long time. And sitting there and having this conversation with everybody through our songs just completely woke up what I was missing the entire time. It reinvigorated the relationship between me and my music. And after that, I was like, no voice, but damn, that was amazing. It's really hard to find moments like that anymore. I cannot express enough how emotional it was after the fact, especially knowing how everybody reacted to this. It got me thinking about the reason why I wanted to make this video in the first place. And it was about taking care of the relationship between you and your art. In the last video about how when you play out and nobody claps, it's tough. Emotionally, it's tough because you're an artist. So when we do that so much and we're used to it, then it becomes a job and we start to disassociate. And the more and more you disassociate with something that is a part of you, your art, your creativity, the more and more we start to resent it when it doesn't give us what we remember it always giving. And there has to be a moment where you take a look at the landscape and go, what can I do to revitalize the relationship that I have with my art? And this reminded us how important this shit is. This reminded us why we wrote the record in the first place. We wanted to tell stories. We wanted to connect with people on a different level. And that moment gave us that. And for me personally, reinvigorated my relationship with my creativity. And that's what I was looking for. And when I was playing that show and I was fucking up everything and everything was a disaster, that was me essentially saying, this is rock bottom. You've now hit the moment where you can't even focus enough to do the one thing that you feel like you can do the best over everything. And it's not because I didn't put in the work. It's because of my unhealthy relationship with my creativity. I was sitting there going, this is where, like, this music belongs here, this belongs here, I gotta do this in order to be able to make this money, and then that goes to here, blah, 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 and didn't take the time to really lock in on the actual spiritual part of what creativity is. And that's giving me back the whatever fucking bit of humanity that I have left. And that's why I needed that. I needed it, but I didn't know I needed it. And why I'm telling you is because I guarantee you, there are people that are watching this video or listening to this podcast and thinking to themselves, they need that. They need to reinvigorate the relationship between them and their creativity. They absolutely need it. Now's the time to take stock. Think about it. Think about what you need in order to be able to make yourself feel more comfortable with your creativity and go do that thing. You know, especially if you're a person that's consistently making money playing music, playing in bars, playing at weddings, whatever, you know there's ways to be able to make money if you need it. But every once in a while, you need to do it for the same reason you started doing it in high school, and it wasn't for money. It was because it was fucking fun and you enjoyed doing it and it's something you loved. Get back to that. Get back to that, or else your creativity will break your fucking heart. Thank you guys so much once again. Really do appreciate you guys being so patient with me about making this video. I just been so fucking bogged down with everything that I needed to do to be able to get everything else in my life in order. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for supporting. And I love you. Gotta say that because I really do. And everybody kind of made me feel that in many different ways. So I appreciate that. See you next time. Finger guns. That was stupid.